and I love Momco. I love the legacy of Momco. Of course, I might mess up and say Mobs just because that's how I knew it. I have to stick to my notes because I tend to just blab. How much time do I have? 30-ish? Okay, perfect. All right. Well, yes, my name is Mindy. I've lived in Scottsbluff for 20 years now. I'm married to Josh, and we have a big crew. We have 7. My oldest is married, and we have a grandbaby and one on the way in May. And a huge thanks to Janelle for inviting me to come and speak today. I love coming and chatting with you wonderful ladies. Yeah, like she mentioned, Momco is very dear to my heart. I was active in MOPS about 20 years ago after my 3rd baby. I was divorced and had 2 boys, got remarried. We moved to Scottsbluff and I had my 3rd baby here. And then I found MOPS, and I found dear friends and was able to just live life together with a lot of other moms, and it was a really sweet time in my life. We do have 7 now. My number 3 now, she will graduate from WNCC in May, and probably the same week is when we'll have grandbaby number 2. So it's truly a blessing to share some nuggets of truth that I've been learning recently. But before we get started, I would like to just start our time in some prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we're very thankful for this time that we have together today. We all could just be staying home, nice and cozy, but we all came, and there's very special people here today. I know that you have truth to share with them. We thank you for our bodies. We thank you for food and how you have designed food to nourish us. Thank you for that gift. Please just give me the words that I need to speak today to be clear. We thank you for all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, well, you can go to the next slide. Move on. USA Today did a survey of 1,600 parents, and 43% of women say that they feel burned out. And 1/3 of those women say they feel burned out every day. Another interesting fact is that it's estimated that 80% of autoimmunity is diagnosed to women. So, yeah, we're going to talk about women's health. And women's health is different than men's health. We're very different biologically than men. God created us a little bit differently. We bring life into the world, and that does a little bit on our bodies. First, yes, this is me. I love to bake and cook, and a couple years ago I decided to kind of do that to supplement our family, and then a few years after that I pivoted a little bit and pivoted because I wanted to provide healthy, nutritious foods for people, not just tasty treats, which are fun, but I wanted to, people would contact me and say, oh, can you make this dairy-free? Can you make this gluten-free? And I was like, there is a better way. And I reflected back to a protocol that I used with my daughter. You can go to the next slide. I have a daughter, she was our number 5, and she was born with really complex medical needs and a couple of diagnoses. We had some history of years with running to the emergency room often, having emergency meds on hand, going to Denver. We had a long list of specialists, and I learned through trial and error that she just was really deficient, and medications she was on was really depleting her of really critical minerals. She had fractures often. She's had 5 surgeries, and some of those things are necessary, and some of them were the effect of just chronic antibiotic use, chronic medications, those kinds of things. And so I learned about a nutritional protocol and was able to just really get serious about her food and feed her nutrition. Imagine that. But as moms, we do our best. We just do. And I was pretty clueless. You just do your best. You're like, yeah, nutrition's cute. It's really cute. But, I want to have fun too. So, but God really led me to just be really serious about her nutrition. And through, a couple of years of getting serious about it, eventually her symptoms went away. She hasn't had seizures. Her eczema went away. And it really was what she needed. Now, she has a lot of critical needs still. She's full support. She's nonverbal. She doesn't walk or talk. And she's really happy and she's really healthy. And she's really the healthiest that she's been. There's just, when you have surgeries, it will always have permanent damage on your body. There's just no way around it. And some of it she needed. But anyway, you can barely see her. That's Olivia. And then that tiny picture, that's our family, but that's us. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So I became certified as a GAPS nutritional coach. And GAPS is an acronym for gut and psychology syndrome and gut and physiology syndrome. And it's the idea that the brain and your gut, your digestive system are connected. And the gut is where disease begins. And so if you're not getting nutrition, if your gut is inflamed, you're going to be really deficient. And so really to start with healing, you heal your gut first. And so anyway, I was certified as a coach, and basically I just know food. And I know how food can heal you. And I know how some foods can be really healthy, but they're actually damaging. And so I'm just trained to kind of help you know what nutrition you need when, based on your symptoms. And symptoms are just a way that the body speaks to you. And it's not something to be alarmed about, but it's also something to definitely listen to and say, oh, it's telling me something. So when my daughter would have eczema flares, oh, her body is telling me something. It's not, some perspectives will say the body is against you, and that wouldn't be the way that I would perceive it. I would perceive it as God designed our bodies a certain way, and it's giving me a message, and that I need to listen. So anyway, through my coaching, I have some group coaching, I do individual coaching, I do workshops, all kinds of things, but I've had a ladies group, and this is the schedule we've done this last year. And actually, you guys kind of inspired me, because 2 years ago when I spoke on intimacy, and then last year I spoke on cycles, this year I'll be sharing about stress, and so this is sort of the what I feel like if women needed to know things about their health, these are the topics. So we're actually meeting again this Sunday at Northfield Park, and we'll be talking about circadian health and how that impacts hormones and women's health and all those things. So I'd love if you guys wanted to join Northfield Park this Sunday. I'm gonna go ahead, next slide. So yes, like I said, you guys inspired me. So a couple years ago, when I came and I shared on intimacy, I talked about how God knows us. And the word to know in the Bible is a very intimate word. It's actually in Hebrew, it's yada. And it's the same verses where it says Adam knew his wife and she became pregnant. And it's a very intimate knowing, like someone knows you that deeply. They know you physically, they know you emotionally, they know you spiritually, and that's the same word that's in Psalms 139 when it says that God knows us. And he knows you very intimately, he knows you intricately, he designed you with purpose. And I think sometimes as Christians, we are like, oh yeah, that's fine and dandy on a spiritual level. But I guess my challenge would be, let's think about it on a physical level too. God designed us, he designed our world, he created the world. He put man in a garden, and he created foods for us. And I believe that those foods are powerful, and food can be medicine. Anyway, that's sort of the inspiration for the women's series. And so today is to know how stress impacts your body, to know your own body. And unfortunately, I mean, for whatever reason, and we could conspire, right? For whatever reason, we're not very well educated in health, much less women's health. Most medical studies up until the 2000s was all based on men's health. And so there's just not a lot of information out there for women. I certainly did not. I had that one day at health in middle school where they sit you down, they put the boys over here, put the girls over here, and they don't even really teach you anything. You just feel very, very embarrassed that you have to be there and you have to talk about periods, and it's so gross, and this is what a tampon is, and then you're like, and the boys are all teasing you about it. And that's it. And I mean, credit to my own mother, she didn't really know either how to teach me, but I had a big sister, thankfully. My big sister taught me some things, but it was still like a lot of my own research. And now you guys, I think, almost have the opposite problem with social media. Like, there's so much out there, but what do you believe? What do you even, like, is this right? Should I do this? What about this? There's almost too much information, and so how do you sort it out? And so I hope I can help you a little bit with that today and kind of point you at least in a direction with our very limited time. But this is the idea that kind of inspired me. Like, we can know God, we can know His plan, and an invitation to help you to know your body and your physical body and how it's connected to emotions, to your spiritual life. It's all connected, and that's the idea of holistic health. It's all inclusive. Go ahead to the next one. Yeah. Okay, just some really quick resources. I brought a few today, if you want to screenshot it or whatever, but these are some of the core resources that I recommend for women's health. Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride is the creator of the GAPS protocol, and she's an amazing woman. I've met her a few times. Probably the most kindest, gentlest, compassionate woman. And I tell you, when I was just floundering and I was just grasping for something to help my daughter, and I found Dr. Natasha and I was reading her books, I would just cry. Like, finally, like, all of these random symptoms are not random, and this lady understands, and it gives me very, very, very practical things to do, not anything extreme at all. And so I definitely, Dr. Natasha, she's coming out with a new book this fall on regenerative farming, so she's really kind of quiet. Like, she's in the UK, she has a clinic, but she really likes to just stay home and farm. And so you won't find her on a lot of podcasts. You won't find her, all over the internet offering her books. She doesn't do that. She doesn't even like to, through GAPS, we still meet once a month as coaches and practitioners, and we, do case studies. And she doesn't show up to those things either, because she just doesn't like to be on the computer. But if you can find her information, her books, definitely recommend. Nourishing Traditions with Sally Fallon Morrell. That book either. She's the creator of the Weston Price Foundation. And then there's Dr. Weston Price. I did bring his book. I'm reading it right now. Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. Short synopsis: he's a dentist 100 years ago, and he wanted to travel the planet, going to different continents, because he observed that westernized diets, people have cavities. And people have terrible teeth, and kids are born with crowded teeth. He's like, but when I go to other countries, why don't they have these problems? And so he traveled the globe, and he took pictures of people's teeth. And he said, what are you eating? And they said, I'm just eating my local food. They weren't eating the industrialized food that was being shipped in, food rations, things like that. They were just eating their local foods. Fish. They were growing their own grains. They were making their own butter. They were eating eggs. They're like, we're just eating our food. They're healthy. And during the time, tuberculosis was a real issue, but these people weren't getting tuberculosis. So Dr. Price, basic traditional foods. Simple. Nourishing Our Cycles by Katie Singer. I think I brought that last time. It helps you, it teaches you about your natural cycle, how to track it, what physical signs that you will have throughout your cycle. Amy Mahali, she does a lot of training for GAPS, and she's just in Loveland, and she's got a clinic. If you're looking for a practitioner that understands women's health from a holistic, I would recommend her. She's amazing. You would love her. Dr. Loredana, she's on social media. She was a pharmacist, and now she's a holistic practitioner. And I listened to her this past October, and she understands women's health very intricately. And again, very, very simple solutions, but things like infertility and just having complications with pregnancies, she understands that really well. But yeah, she's on social media. Modern Ancestral Mamas is a podcast, pretty great. And Dr. Stacy also has a podcast that I would recommend. Okay, next slide. Okay, so yes, back to your body. We've traditionally been taught that you separate the body into different systems. Oh, you have your circulatory system, you have your skeletal system, your muscular system, and so if you have a problem, you break a toe, you go to a toe doctor. You know, if all these different things, you have different specialists, which is wonderful because they really know their area, but they don't know how it affects the other areas of the body. And so with holistic health, we're thinking of how everything is connected. If you're stressed, it's gonna affect your broken toe, and it's gonna affect your healing. And so that's just the idea that our body is a whole thing. We have to be careful with breaking things apart separately. Everything is connected, okay? And the same idea with hormones. Hormones are chemicals. Hormones are chemicals that your body makes, and it's sort of in a response to your environment. But hormones have to be built. Your body has to build them, and it has to have the raw materials. So if your kids are making something with Legos, they have to have a Lego to begin with. It's the same with your body. And hormones in your body, there's an order of priority. So if you have sex hormones, you have stress hormones, and then you have other just day-to-day, I feel hungry, that's a hormone. I don't feel hungry, that's a hormone. Just body function, melatonin, I'm tired, that's a hormone. So these feelings that we get, they aren't just phenomenons. I used to think it was just some weird magical, I don't know. But it's a hormonal response to your environment. And your body is actually very organized in how it wants to produce these things. So when it comes to things like stress, imagine if you're running from a tiger, you're running for your life, you're not gonna feel hungry, right? So the body's like, hey, we're not gonna make this hormone right now. We gotta survive. We gotta stay alive today. So we're not gonna be hungry. We're not gonna go to the bathroom. We're definitely not making a baby right now. And we're running for our life, right? Okay, so just kind of that's a very basic understanding, but hormones your body makes on a day-to-day basis. With women, we have cycles. So we also have hormones through the month that the body is creating, brand new and fresh. It's amazing, but again, there's sort of an order of operations. Even like on Sunday, I'll talk about we have a clock cycle, we have a 24-hour cycle that needs to happen, and our light environment impacts that. We were created on Earth with a sun, and yet we live in these boxes every day with artificial light, and it's impacting our health. And so just getting out in some sun helps your body to feel very safe. And it helps this cycle of hormones that the body is trying to create every day. Okay, all right, next slide. Okay, so on that note, that's all the foundation I was building. If you take one thing away today, this is the takeaway. You cannot build health if you're stressed. The body can't heal if you are running from a tiger. It's just keeping you alive, okay? And it's going to do everything. It's going to use all the materials it can to just keep you alive today. But if so my son had ACL surgery back in November, and it said if you want to heal faster, you have to chill. You have to just rest, and that's hard to do on a 17-year-old football player. But you can't, it's just gonna slow the healing if you're stressing out. He's not very stressed, but it's the idea. It's the same with us as moms. It's hard to get away from stress, right? But stress is sort of subjective. What's stressful to me may not be stressful to you. There was a study, to get my readers on, this is what happens when you hit the 40s. There was a study done on inventory of stress, and they kind of rated stress. Number 1, life event that causes the most stress, 100 points, death of a spouse. Pretty stressful. Number 2, divorce. Number 3, marital separation. 4, detention in jail. 5, death of a close family member. 6, major personal injury or illness. 7, getting married. Be a little stressful, right? Number 8, being fired at work. Number 9, marital reconciliation. It's good, but it's stressful. 10, retirement. 11, major change in the health of a family member. 12, pregnancy. And there's a whole list here. Those are major life events, and I know that we all go through them. If you want to experience stress, why don't you commit to talking to a group of ladies about handling stress? God provides the grace that you need, but I'm not gonna stand up here and say that I have figured it out, ladies. This is how you glide through stress. Nope. We cannot avoid stress. You're gonna have it, and we all feel differently about different life events. I have spent more days in a courthouse this year than I have in the last 20 years when I did an internship 20 years ago. It's unavoidable. Sometimes you have people in your life that make choices, and that impacts you. Health of loved ones, aging parents, siblings going through divorce. That it's very stressful. I'm not going through a divorce, but when you have people close to you, it still impacts you, and I can't control that, right? But I can also, I think our faith, definitely gives us more of an edge to deal with life, right? Because we can understand things from God's perspective and know that he really, I don't have to be everything for everyone. He can provide for those people, but it's still gonna take a toll on me. So we have life events that happen. We just have physical events. Having a baby is joyful, but it's very stressful on your body. I had to chuckle a little bit. You guys were talking about hair. Yes, yeah, that is a message that your body is telling you that, you know what, took a lot of minerals to make a baby, and you're a little deficient, and so let's put some minerals back into the body and let's replenish you. And there is no shame. It is an amazing thing to bring life into the world. It is an absolute miracle, but we cannot be ignorant to what it does to our bodies. And we can't be ignorant to what stress, just life events, do to our bodies. And We can't eat like a 5-year-old kindergartner when we're stressed. Like you can't eat your children's Cheerios every day, their leftover chicken nuggets every day, and think that you're replenishing yourself. You're a grown woman and you are making babies and you're feeding babies and you're taking care of a lot of people, and you have to nourish yourself. So if you need someone in your life to tell you that, that's me. All right, next slide. Okay, there are different kinds of stress. Stress is good. If you are ever going to train, there's been seasons of my life where I've trained, I've done some distance running. I love it, guys. Imagine, I know, sounds crazy. But when you can go for a jog for an hour and nobody's interrupting you, you can listen to your own podcast, your own music, it is like a dream, okay? So there's positive stress. You grow from stress. You do. Just think about, reflect back to something in your life that you're like, man, I did it. I made it. That was really hard. Now I did it. You build confidence. It's good. Stress is good. The difference between a positive stress and a negative stress is whether or not you feel like you have control. If you don't feel like you have control over something, it's a negative stress. So next slide. Yeah, we call it distress. Distress. You don't feel like you have control. Maybe, you get a diagnosis. I remember sitting in a doctor's office and hearing a diagnosis, and at first it just doesn't, it's this shock on your body. You have a physical symptom. Maybe you feel nauseous. Maybe the blood drains out. Like you have a physical response, and that response itself, sorry, I'm gonna get really nerdy. Like that really is, it's a depletion on the body. Normally we're told, go eat chocolate, go have a cup of wine, and a big old mug of coffee, and for a moment, your brain feels good, but you're still depleted physically. And what I'm trying to learn, guys, I had 7 babies, I was pretty depleted, probably still am. When you are facing stress, you gotta lock down your nutrition, prioritize your nutrition. Your family needs you to think clear. They need you to be stable. And one way that you can do that is by taking care of yourself. And it's not selfish for you to take care of yourself. For me, it probably sounds very selfish, but I've also learned with having a full care handicapped daughter, there are some days I have to feed myself before I feed her. And I know that sounds really selfish, but I know in order for me to take care of her today, I have to take care of myself. And I have a lot of years ahead of me, and I'm not getting any younger. And I have a lot of years ahead of me, and what is she gonna do in 10 years when I'm not well? Do I just, my options are very limited, and so that may not be the case for you guys, but you still have little people that depend on you, and it's not selfish to take care of yourself and to prioritize. When you make that grocery list, you think about, what am I eating this week? And I'm gonna get that food because it's gonna nourish me so that I can take care of my family the very best I can, so I can think clearly and so I can make good decisions for them today. All right, next slide. So yes, a physical symptom, when you feel stressed, you are going to feel symptoms and kind of be in tune with that. We've not really learned the skill of being in tune with our bodies. And it is a skill to learn, and that's something that I teach people is listen to your body. Listen. All the time is telling you, and it's not selfish to do that. And it's good, especially for women. We're very high paced in our society, and it goes against our womanhood and the way God has designed us to be nurturers, to be able to give out we have to be able to replenish. So we have a physical response, stress hormones, like I said, the body's just trying to keep you alive. It really is very expensive on the body. It takes a lot of minerals and vitamins. It's very expensive to make a stress hormone, but it's keeping you alive, so it's worth it, right? It has to make cortisol. It has to make adrenaline is that first little burst, like if your 2-year-old is running out in front of a truck, that's adrenaline that's gonna get you there, right? And you're gonna do whatever it takes. You're gonna jump in front of that truck and you don't even care. That's adrenaline. Cortisol is it's more of a long-term stressor, chronic. And then of course dopamine. Dopamine's a little expensive, and it's a fast, trigger to the brain, like, ooh, that felt good, okay? But you're gonna be hyper alert. Okay, you could be super sleepy, it's 10 o'clock at night, but you find out your house is on fire. You're not sleepy anymore, right? The body is gonna wake you up, and those are hormones, and it's expensive on the body to make those. All right, next slide. So we call this fight or flight. In health, we call it the sympathetic part of your nervous system. So it's taxing on the nervous system. I heard something the other day, it says, people spend 80% of their day in fight or flight. So expensive on your body, on the nutrition for your body. And it's probably things that don't need to be in fight or flight. I get these things in my algorithms, like the video where the lady, she's driving to the next appointment and she's super, super tense. It's like, just soften. You're just driving. And being stressed about it, you're not gonna get there any faster. So just relax, just pay attention to your shoulders. Are you tense like this all the time? Like your eyebrows. How are you doing? Are you, just kind of think about your body, like relax your shoulders, take deep breaths. Are you shallow breathing? Are you taking deep breaths? You actually create different pH in your blood when you breathe. Think about when your kids are crying, they're crying. My husband will always say, take a deep breath. And they take a deep breath, they feel better. We need to do that too. Just breathe. Breathing is very healing, and it gets you out of fight or flight. It gets you into, go ahead, next slide. It gets you into rest and digest. You can eat your food on the run, you're not digesting it. It's going through the body, you're not absorbing nutrition. That's another thing is, our family is very guilty of this. Just sitting at the table and eating. Instead of hey, let's run through the drive, let's eat on the run, let's grab this plate, run out the door. Just sitting and enjoy it. Like this morning was beautiful. Just sit, have a nice, non-stressful conversation, laugh a little bit, having a nice meal, but also just in life, keeping your heart rate low. And I know, guys, I have a 13-year-old boy. And I was kind of laughing even this morning, he will randomly come zooming through the house. He's got his basketball, he's like, just kind of all day long. You're kind of trying to chill. Yeah. So it's a physical symptom. You can tell if you're in fight or flight or rest and digest just by how am I breathing, how am I tense right now, or am I relaxed? There's a million things you can do to get yourself out of fight or flight. Okay. All right, next slide. Yeah, like I said, it depletes you. It's really taxing on the body. And you can. I know people say, "Oh, just take some supplements." It's not the way it works. It really isn't. You just don't get it the same way you get it in food. And it's also a lot of those supplements, guys, it's not regulated by the FDA, and so there's all kinds of garbage in supplements. You really have to be careful. But also energetically, it just doesn't work the way real food works when it absorbs into your body. You have to eat it with food. God designed vitamins in your food, imagine that. And so what it comes down to is just sourcing high quality, nutrient dense food. It will catch up with you. I mean, like I said, I'm not perfect. I drank Diet Pepsi for 10 years, and had the dental issues to show it, and depleted mom syndrome, and so you just have to understand, like, the body needs minerals. What you do every day requires a lot. You gotta put some back in. You dump some out every day. You gotta put some back in. Nutrient-dense food is where it comes from. And yeah, chronically being stressed is gonna take a toll on the body, and that's where autoimmunity comes in. A lot of memory loss, early aging. Those are all signs of chronic stress in the body. So the body's going to prioritize with hormones. It's always going to prioritize keeping you alive. So if you decide every single day, today I'm just staying alive, then it's really not gonna, your sleep's gonna be off, your appetite's gonna be off. It's gonna prioritize keeping you alive hormonally. And so finding, and again, it's very subjective, what's relaxing to you may not be relaxing to me, but this also sounds a little off, and maybe in a year I'll disagree with what I have to say about this, but I have found too, like, as moms, we do have to take care of ourselves. I had a birthday 2 weeks ago-ish, and everybody's very busy, and so you just have to find ways to take care of yourself, and it's okay. If you need a day off, you have to communicate it, and it doesn't have to be with sarcasm or it's just learning to be gracious and graceful, but also knowing, like, I really need some time away, or I really need this, or I really need you to do the dishes, or like, how moms, we just take it on, and we don't talk, we don't say, we don't complain, and we just do it all. And okay, you didn't do that, okay, I'll just take care of it. And I think it takes a toll on us eventually. You guys are young, maybe it hasn't taken a toll on you yet, but eventually it will catch up with you. And I think it's just, there's a lot of life skills, to learn with stress management. And there's a lot out there I can share with you. I'm just here about nutrition. So, all right, next slide. We're just about done here. These are things that I teach in my women's group. These are some really just good tips you want to screenshot or whatever, but best sleep for women is 8 to 4 a.m. hormonally with your circadian clock. You need sunlight, ladies. Saturated fats and cholesterol. Believe it, every single cell in your body needs saturated fat and cholesterol. You can't make cells, you can't make hormones without cholesterol. You need organ meats for micronutrients. We need to be eating nose to tail. We can't just be eating a boneless, skinless chicken breast. There's different nutrients in different parts of the animal, and different meat selections and different types of animals. Traditional cultures, they would eat nose to tail, partly because they didn't want to waste anything, but God provided all of the micronutrients. So if you don't like liver, you can supplement with liver, but I recommend all women, pregnant, nursing, wanting to be pregnant, planning like even 2 years before wanting to be pregnant, supplement liver every day. Reduce your stress, eliminate foods that are really inflammatory. If the body has to take care of damage every day, it's not going to heal. Probiotic foods, get on my socials, that's what I do every day. Eliminate hormone disrupting chemicals. Our environment's just full of them, and it's disrupting hormones. Go ahead, next one. Like I said, I think when you have faith in your life, you have a little bit of an edge, because when you have stress, you can pray, you can trust God. But I also, part of my job is I don't want you to be ignorant either. Like, God provided us with everything that we need. And yes, pray about things, but also, guess what? I spend a lot of time praying for my daughter, but I also think that God gave me some work to do, and I had to do a lot of work with her, and we're still working. Every day we work. So I saw a meme yesterday. It said, if you ask God to win a marathon, he's not going to give you a medal. He's going to give you a pair of shoes. And so with our health, ladies, I want to just challenge you. Yes, pray. Pray for your friends that have health issues, but I think we've got some work to do. And I think there's a lot of bad messages out there when it comes to health and nutrition. And so I know this is going to seem really old-fashioned, but these are miracle foods, and there are plenty of people that have testimonies. I brought a few today, but when it comes to needing, we have a lot of very, very processed foods, and in the 1940s and 50s is when commercialization came out after it was post-war, right? So that's when they started to learn about propaganda, and that's when food commercials. So we've very, very commercialized food. You got to think back 100 years ago, okay? These are the foods that are going to give your body the nutrients that it needs. I have a couple things that our family takes. My husband loves sardines, so you don't have to eat sardines, but if you're wanting to get some of these kind of nutrients, that would be a good one. We do a little iodine. If you don't want to take iodine like this is seaweed flakes my husband takes. This is one cod liver oil. This was actually a Nebraska company, and they're a Christian company. I've met them. I invited them. They're coming out in July to one of our Wise Traditions meetings, but it's Green Pastures, and they're based out of O'Neill, but they do a lot of cod liver kinds of products. So I know I'm a little over on my time. I think that's about it. I think I had maybe another. Yeah, those are the books that I recommend. Nourishing Traditions, Sally's book. The book on the right, The Gut and Physiology, that's the GAPS, one of the GAPS books. Talks about, there's a whole chapter in there about hormones. And then the Honoring Our Cycles and Nutrition and Physical Degeneration.